Hello to everybody. We're speaking to you from Cumbria, which is in the north of England. And sorry we can't join you in person today, but this is the second best thing, we think. I'm Harriet, and this is
I'm Rob.
Rob. We practice as Somewhere Nowhere, which is a creative environmental artist research practice based here in England.
Yeah, to be more specific, we're actually in the Lake District National Park. We're near a lake called Grasmere, which is the home of William Wordsworth, or the final home of William Wordsworth, who's quite a famous poet around about these parts.
Yeah, he has a lot to answer for when it comes to romanticising landscapes. And actually, our practice does look at that tension between beauty and idealising these wonderful places that we live in, and the need to look after them a lot better.
As Harriet says, we're artists. I'm a photographer, Harriet's a writer and a poet, and we collaborate together as Somewhere Nowhere. And interestingly, Somewhere Nowhere, we took its name from a poem by a woman called Anne Stevenson, which starts with the lines "Somewhere Nowhere in Utah," which is obviously very fitting this evening as you're all in Utah watching us with this pre-record now.
And in a way, that poem is partly responsible for us having come to Pando back in 2019. I encountered that poem when I was about 13, 14 and never forgot those opening lines. Then we had a chance to come to America. We were asked to teach in a university in Illinois, and we thought, how can we get to Utah? So we made it happen, and a year ahead of time we started making inquiries about Pando, and we were lucky enough to hook up with Nick Musto, who at the time was looking after Pando, and we met him there. But we'll rewind a little bit and tell you a little bit about our practice and our love for trees in general.
So we've been working together now for about 12 years. We're really interested in the culture of land use and the environmental care. We bring in a lot of conversations with people who know their stuff about landscape. We've interviewed hundreds of people over the course of those 12 years about their attachment to place, what it means to them, and their expertise. Experts come in many different forms, different shapes and sizes, I'm sure you're well aware. That includes the academic world, the scientific world, but also people who are working that landscape, such as farmers, conservationists, water specialists, and people who just use these landscapes for recreation. So our practice, if you like, looks at that twin between the people and the place.
So as Rob said, he and I have been working together for 12 years now, and a lot of our work takes place here in Cumbria and in the Lake District. And one particular long-term project that we carried out involved trees, and it was called the Longview. We spent around 5 years seeking out 7 trees that we would like to work with. And when we'd found them, we spent 2 years visiting them again and again in all weathers, day and night, and just to really get a feel for them. Our practice involves a lot of walking and a lot of being still as well. We kept visiting these trees. I think Lance has got a book to share with you today to show you some of the outputs that came from that project, Rob's photographs and my writing. To give you an idea of where the trees are, it took us 7 days to cover the 183 kilometres between the trees. So they're not next to one another, they're all different species. And we used them really as a focal point to inquire into and to discuss bigger issues around landscape and how things are interconnected. And we don't really like to simplify things. Although a poem might become a haiku and be very short, actually what we like to do with our work is really embrace the complexity and the entangled nature of the living world. And we try to do that in a number of ways, including engagement.
Yes, Harriet said those 7 trees were formed in a constellation, as we like to call it, across Cumbria. Although they were lone individuals, it was great as a photographer to use these lone species to actually focus on. The more we've come to understand trees through this project and other projects, the more we realise that they love being together, which I suppose in a way brings us quite nicely to the idea of Pando, a really beautifully complicated, simple structure of one single tree. That notion of a tree is tipped on its head when you think about Pando being 40,000 stems, 106 acres, That's just incredible. So that blows our minds. So to spend 3 hours in the company of Nick Musto and then a couple of hours on our own just walking around that space really brought home to us the incredible beauty, I suppose, of Pando, the incredibly complex beauty and its place in that landscape. We came away with a lot more questions than answers, that's for sure. It was a great autumn day. The leaves were starting to turn, the skies were blue, and it was really nice to just hang out in that space for a few hours.
And since then we've been in touch with Lance quite a lot, and we're beginning to feel this nice bridge forming between us here in England and you guys over there. And we've been dreaming up the kind of thing that we might do if we were able to come back and spend a lot of time in Pando. When we spent time with the trees for the long view, we made installations at each tree using colour interventions, very temporary, but bringing poetry out into the landscape. And that's since become quite a central part of our practice. So who knows what we might do if we were to come to Pando. In the exhibition you have a photograph of Rob's hanging up and a poem of mine, and I'm just going to read the poem now for you. In the gold of autumn, listen. Among whispering leaves, stories of sky and the inevitable coming of another winter. Beneath ground and in each short-lived leaf, there is a knowing of life across 14,000 years. In the 100-acre embrace of a single tree, a butterfly catches the sun, floats, as if it is an aspen leaf, rising, not falling. Against the high blue, 5 geese, black wings wide, breathe their heart-deep music, heading east.
So thanks to Lance and to the Friends of Pando for inviting us along this evening, albeit virtually. We're sorry we can't be there in person, but the time difference was a bit of a killer for us as we're working quite hard at the moment. And who knows, maybe we'll get to see you at some point down the line. We'd love to do that. But before that, we're hoping to organise an event with the Royal Geographical Society here in the United Kingdom to make that land bridge between Pando and the United Kingdom. And who knows where those conversations can go from after that. So take care and
thank you, and I hope you have a really great time.
Thanks, guys.